Hi viewers, it's me Satya from Shutterpix.in. Today we are going to look at channels and the groups in the Flash system. At the end of the video, you should get a clear understanding of these concepts and make use of them effectively in your next photo shoot. Let's start with a brief history. Initial days, when we say Flash, it means on-camera flash. As the technology improved, there were a powerful off-camera flash were developed. Actually, it created a challenge how to trigger the off-camera flash at the same time as set off the on-camera flash. The solution the scientists came up with is the optical trigger. So, a light sensor is fixed on the off-camera flash. Whenever the on-camera flash triggers and emits a light, the off-camera flash sensor detects this and then use this as a signal to trigger the flash. This was working perfectly because the speed of the light is much faster than the shutter speed that is used in the cameras. So both the on-camera flash, off-camera flash and the shutter were synced perfectly. This have a limitation. The optical trigger is just a binary signal whether to trigger the off-camera flash or not, but it don't have other information like at what power the off-camera flash should trigger. So an operator have to set it manually. They have to walk up to the off-camera flash, rotate the knobs and dials to set the power at which it has to be fired. And then as the technology improved, radio signals were used for the communication between the on-camera flash and the off-camera flash. So this electromagnetic waves, along with the binary signal of whether to fire the flash or not, it also have additional data like at what power it has to trigger. Come on, now let's look at how the flash trigger system works. Basically, it's a radio transmitter and receiver. The trigger at the top of the camera is the transmitter, and the flash unit, off-camera flash units, are the receiver. And for them to communicate, they should be aligned in the same frequency. And the data transmitted involve the binary signal of whether the flash should trigger or not at the moment, and then at what power it has to trigger. Let's look at an example for this radio communication. FM radios that we use every day is the best example. FM stations located far away from our home have the transmission units set up with them. They have tall towers. On top of that, they set up the dishes to transmit. And the FM unit that we have in our home, the player or radio, is the receiving unit. Each transmission station, each FM station transmits at a specific frequency. Let's say one of the station transmits at 94.3, and whenever we tune our radio, the handpiece that is with us in our home, to that specific frequency of 94.3, we could receive the signal that is transmitted. In another moment, when we tune it to a different frequency, let's say 98.3, we receive signal from a different station that is located at a different place, transmitting at 98.3. So the channel is the frequency at which the transmitter and receiver communicates. FM stations use a frequency range of 88 MHz to 108 MHz. Similarly, flash triggers use a frequency range of 2.41 GHz to 2.46 GHz. Channels within the trigger represent various frequency range similar to the FM stations 94.3, 98.3. Different values of frequency within this range corresponds to various channels in the flash trigger. We don't know the exact frequency values for the channels in the flash trigger because it is not published by the operator. Let's say if we look at the codecs, they don't publish, they just publish the frequency range, or it might be referred somewhere deep within their documentation. Having channels enable more than one transmitter and more than one receiver in the same transmission range. Let's say in the same hall, there can be two photographers having their own triggers and then having their own off-camera flash without interference. Now the radio triggers can transmit the power level at which the flash has to fire. What to do if you have more than one flash and they have to operate at two different power levels? Then comes the group. The idea of group is that group all the flashes which has to fire at a specific power level and then set the power level at the transmitter. Let's say we have a flash which has to fire at 1 by 8 of its power, then group them under group A, and in group B, flashes can fire at a different power level. Let's say 1 by 4, 1 by 16, 1 by 2, 1, anything. So within this setup, a cameraman can trigger these two flashes at two different power levels. It is allowed that more than one flash can be under a flash group. Basically, all the flashes under a specific group would fire at the same level. So if we want all our flashes to fire under same level, that can be grouped under the same group. It can be any group, A, B, C, D, anything. But all the flashes within that group would fire at the same power level. If we want them to fire at two different levels or different levels, then they have to be grouped separately. Then what is ID? The 2.4 GHz frequency range that is used by flash triggers are not specific to them. There are other communication devices like Wi-Fi routers use the same frequency range. So there can be an interference between this transmitter and then the other electronic devices. To avoid that, the best strategy to choose a channel is to pick the channel which is having the least interference. In a situation where more than one photographer are there and then they are in the same transmission range and they want to use the same channel, to avoid or to create a segregation between the transmitter and receiver that these two photographers are, then comes the ID. ID is kind of a data on top of the frequency. Even though two receivers are receiving the same signal, it first looks for the ID information in the received data. If the ID matches to the one that the receiver is looking for, then it reads the rest of the data and then acts accordingly. If not, it simply discards it. A quick recap. Channel enable the communication between the transmitter and the receiver, that is a flash trigger and a flash unit. ID is subcategory of the channel, and the receiving unit reads the data only if the channel present in the data matches with whatever it was looking for. And groups enable multiple flash units within a setup to fire at different power levels. Hope you find this video useful. If so, give a like and subscribe to see many such videos. If you have questions or thoughts about this, please share them in the comment. See you in another video. Bye.